naturally the game, it's a preseason game, so I tried to pump the brakes a little bit on analysis, especially in this game where it was a lot of, backup or into the roster, or some guys maybe not even on the roster playing a whole bunch. I can't remember a time where I saw so many players that probably maybe usually at the end of a preseason, not at the beginning of a preseason. So if we want to just overview of what I thought, naturally, I'm always going to be looking at the draft picks.
Yep.
I was a little interested in your guy, your man Chestnut was playing in front of Haskins. So I don't know why that happened.
I told you that's my preseason pick right there.
He looked pretty good. Now, I know he fumbled, and they're going to make mistakes, but I love how he responded coming back. Great job by, and that's kind of my philosophy if I was coaching. Mm-hmm. You make a mistake, relax. I'm going to put you back out there and see how you respond. And he responded admirably. Mm-hmm. I thought he did a really good job. Some coaches will not give you that second shot. I'm loving how Vrabel said Dews gave him, that was a great call on him. Well, that tells me that Vrabel wouldn't have done that. That's what it tells me. Because he just yanked, Malik just because he wouldn't even throw the ball.
Right.
Now, those are the same things we saw at practice. I said he's not throwing guys open. Mm-hmm. He's, they look covered like they're in college. That's covered. You got to throw them open. So it definitely his running ability, which we all saw in practice, and now he did in the game, was phenomenal. I think the game was a little fast for him. Wasn't going through his progression reads, just taking off and running. So I think this is the barometer for him. I think this the low hanging fruit. Now you want to see how much he progresses from here, because I have to admit it took me 2 or 3 games before the game slowed down, and I'm talking about regular season games. But naturally, preseason was a different story, and that was when I was becoming a starter. So I want to see if he gets better and he goes through, at least gets to his second read, trust his pocket presence. He was scrambling outside the whole entire time. Sometimes he could have stepped up, maneuvered in the pocket. So he was just being an athlete. So there's a lot of work to be done, but I think there's some positive energy there. On the other side of that, I didn't like the way Woodside. Now, he was getting harassed, and he's not the runner that Malik Willis is naturally. But I thought he was trying to be too perfect on his throws on the interceptions, especially that first one. I don't care how the receiver released inside, outside, you're throwing to a spot. The receiver knows to get to the spot.
Right.
It doesn't matter if he insides or outside release. It's getting to the spot because that's where I'm going to put it. He didn't put any air on it. It was just kind of a flat, even on the Burks throw on the post where they had a post player there. He has to throw it up and out there so he can actually really go make a play, even though Burks still had a shot to make a play on that one. So the other one was a tip ball. Receivers got to help him out there and come back to the ball.
Right.
So those are things we want to talk about. Quarterback, running back, receiver. I thought that the 2 tackles battling for a job, I thought they were pretty much even. I was really honed in on Petit Frere and as well as Radens. I don't think one would beat out the other, but man, they looked pretty even based off what I saw. Sometimes I thought Frere looked a little bit better. And I mean, it was because he was out there a little bit longer too, but playing both sides. Starting off on one side and the other. Brewer, I think they have a lot of confidence. I think he started at center instead of guard. So I think that solidifies that he is going to be on the field at some form of fashion, and that means he's going to be the guard when the season starts. So, I'm looking at the battles. I felt bad for the receivers. Malik didn't throw the ball a lot. I don't know if they were open or not. You can only see so much on the TV copy from guys who need to prove things, let alone Burks didn't get a lot of opportunities. Malone, I mean, all the guys, McMath just keeps doing what he's doing. I said that when I saw him on the first day. I said he will make the roster on one day of practice because he looked different. You know why? Because a tall guy that's fast, straight line speed. But no, he was that last year. Yeah. No, he now can run routes. You can see it. You can see it instantly, and that's what makes him dangerous. And they drafted him on his upside potential. He had the size and the speed and just didn't have the production because of the team he was on and the players that were there. But I think he's going to be even more involved than they anticipate. And I'm saying this out on a limb. I think eventually he'll move ahead of NWI. Yeah. He's just going to Yeah, I think people think they're going to just use him as a goal clear out guy. I think he's more than that. I think he's more than that. So
he also had 2 special teams tackles, which is what he's known for, and a 30-yard kick return.
Yeah, which was all fantastic. I think they got a holding call on that one, right?
No, the holding call was Terry Godwin at a 50-something yard kick return.
That's right. Yeah, Godwin, who I like too as well. I like the way he's running routes.
He looked smooth.
I think he's the back end of a roster. Maybe I think he could still be on the practice squad. So there was a lot of things I didn't see defensively. I know people were bashing Chris Jackson because he got beat for that touchdown. I thought that was a well-earned play by the offense. I thought his technique was good. Can you make plays better, the ball and everything else? But he's the 4th, 5th corner, and I think that's exactly what I want. I mean, he is that and can play the nickel in a pinch. So I think he brings a lot of value. So I don't agree with that assessment by people on social media. They act like this is a regular season game. And you can say what you want to say about, Shamar Bridges, the guy he was an HBCU player who was a top 15 player in the HBCU. So if you do your homework on him, you'd see that this guy has got some potential. Obviously, he was at the Ravens, and he made a couple spectacular catches, back shoulder throws that are tough when you're a shorter DB, the 5'11" guy versus a 6'3" guy.
Yep.
You throw it up there. So I think I'm interested to see what the injury is on that because, I love to be the doctor on the field. I think he sprained his MCL. Or hyperextended his knee. The guy fell on his knee after he made the catch, and he tried to pull it out. You could see it immediately, typically because you can feel that kind of pressure. So I don't know if that's what happened to him or not, but that's what I felt, and I knew it. And then I was watching him particularly on the extra point because I said, dang, he didn't even come out. There's no way. And I saw him try to take off, and he was on the backside where you weren't rushing. He was just trying to, act like he was going to rush and jog. I saw him limping. I said, yep, exactly what. Because then once the adrenaline rush leaves you and goes away, that, sprain of a knee comes to you as you're jogging off. You go, uh-oh, this is not right. So I'm interested to see that. I think it's a little more than people want to give credit. I mean, I'm talking about a 2 or 3 week deal there. Farley looked like he's starting to progress. I loved watching him, change directions because they caught some, double move type outcuts and hitches on him, and then he started playing them tighter, and so his movement skills. You see the potential with him as far as a player in the National Football League. So I was actually optimistic that now we're starting to see something even better than last year. So I was excited to see that. I thought Fulton was just okay in this game. I don't know if his focus wasn't there, but I think the expectations are higher for him, at least from my point of view, based off what he's done going into his 3rd year. I thought Theo Jackson did a solid job. I didn't like his angles on some of his. He could have had more tackles. And to me, it's a way that you go about your angles. You go inside out. From the deep middle, and you slow play when it's run at you if you're running towards them because you have to have the cutback angle, and then that would then put you in the right spot. He could have had a couple more tackles. So I think they're probably going to talk about that. I thought the other safety there at 32 did a pretty good job. Defensive line.
This guy that just got here.
Yeah, Cohort or whatever. I thought but see, I liked his angles, and I don't know if he's a veteran guy or not, so he kind of understands how the game is going to work. But I thought, what's the Shamir? What's it, Brown? Shakur. Yeah.
He's.
Yeah, he was.
Guys
right.
keep getting injured at that position, and he keeps showing up.
Guess what? He made me my Buster Screen guy this time. That may be my guy. So I'm always talking about the secondary guy. I know the doctor, the linebacker guy was all over the place.
Gibbons.
I don't know how many reads he missed or the D line played solid. They're going to be deep there, so they're going to have to make some serious cuts there. Eventually, they gave up some plays, but I like what I see from the D line. Naturally, we didn't have any big time starters or anybody like that out there. Weaver showed what he showed last year in the preseason, so I think he's a valuable backup. What's the kid's name that got the 2 sacks at the end there when they went to pass him over?
A 90.
A 90?
Yeah, a 90.
A 90.
Yeah, that's what Mike Keith was saying, and he's the authority.
So there's an Adani and an Anini.
A 90. He had 2 back-to-back plays.
Yeah, I like what I saw there. So he could potentially be a practice squad or like a Roberson type player potentially. And to be all honest, outside of that, I thought Haskins was running too high. I don't know. He better get the pad level down. I mean, down, and be ready to rock and roll. Um, Other than that, any other draft picks that I didn't talk about that maybe I missed? Phillips, I felt bad for all the receivers. They didn't get a lot of attempts.
Jim Wyatt put out the plays. I think he ran 3 offensive plays. He had a couple punt returns,
Right.
and I think he played 3 offensive snaps. They threw it his way once, and the ball was really kind of out of his reach. He fell down at the end.
No,
of
the
his
guy
route.
broke on the ball and he
Yeah.
tripped up. But the guy
Phillips.
should have picked the ball on Phillips on that play.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that kind of confirmed to me what they thought about him, and I think that means that he's on the roster.
Right.
Yeah, I think they were trying to. This game was about let me see all these guys that probably are either going to be practice squad or not make our roster, especially there in the second half. So it'd be interesting. I wasn't watching the offensive linemen as far as the backups to the guys who started in the game, so I couldn't tell you a lot about that. But other than that, man, solid game. But yeah, Malik's gotta do a lot better. And I'm glad the fan base who's been swarming, oh, he's gonna be our quarterback. And no, there's a process here. And you had a guest on that you invited who told us something nobody knew at the time. They said he didn't even start quarterback till he was a senior in high school. So he was an athlete that played other positions as she started. So just imagine he only started 2 years at Liberty.
That's it.
He never really started at quarterback at Auburn. He spot played. So now we're talking about 3 years, and then you're in a whole different style offense. Who, by the way, Hugh Freeze loved his offense in college. Most of those quarterbacks haven't had success in the National Football League. Even when he was at Ole Miss or whatever school he was teaching at. And sometimes that offense just works a little bit better for college than the pro game. So we'll be interested to see. But I think there are a lot of upside. Hey, now I'm also disappointed in Woodside. I am. I really am. I become, likened to him. And I just didn't agree with the throws. He was harassed. He has to do better. If Malik is not where they want him to be and doesn't continue to progress and get better, all 3 of the quarterbacks for the Baltimore Ravens look better than Woodside as well as Malik Willis.
Kid from Oregon was dropping the ball in the bucket all over the place.
I was just like, well, dang, this is what our backup quarterback's supposed to look like. And I felt like they looked better than ours as a quarterback. And I mean, nobody was better than, Willis running. But I'm talking about in the quarterback, their presence in the pocket and everything else. So I was a little disappointed. I really was. And I wanted to say Woodside has solidified that he's the backup based off who he's beaten out over the years. But if he plays like that again, I'm the Titans. I'm looking on the waiver wire for a veteran quarterback. Yeah, for me. Because I don't know what you're going to get with Willis. Right now, you got to say, you're praying that Willis continues to develop. And if he develops, then he may become the number 2. Think about this. And this is one of the things I thought about. Who are you cutting if you keep 2 quarterbacks? It's based off the decision who you think could get picked up. So then that means you could cut Woodside. He could still be the number 2 for you, and you bring him back because you don't think somebody will scoop him up. You really believe somebody's going to pick up Malik Willis.
Oh, yeah.
Right. See?
You lose him.
See? So,
and after this performance from Woodside, you think anybody's going to be like, oh, let's get that guy?
Oh, and another veteran in these is one of our favorite people. Who was that? Mr. Kern. You better watch out for that Stonehouse. That Stonehouse has a rocket launching of a leg. Not to say that Brett Kern didn't do well. He did. But somebody sees that and they go, well, Kern, this is last year in his contract. He's going to retire. How do we hide this guy? So I'm interested to see if this dude has a hammy sometime soon so he can be here next year. Because if not, man, that guy had an A leg. His leg was stronger than Lucas's.
Buck Rising has strong legs. You can tell because the shorts are so short. He'll join us